Nobody's saying anything. See, when they had victimized press conference for Carmelo Anthony's people, nobody has talked about the fact that there are threats against Austin Metcalf's father, that and his family, that they've been called 3 times, right? But you don't hear them moving into a mansion. You don't hear about them moving into a gated community, right? You don't hear nothing about that. Those people are staying where they live. They're not using the money that they've raised for their own personal benefits. But only black people do this type of stuff. Mostly black people do this type of stuff, right? They say they're going to raise money for stuff that they actually spend the money on. It's just the dysfunction in our community, right? And even when you have educated black people who have money, they still do stuff that is corrupt. And so, yeah, 3 times people calling, making threats against that family, and not an ounce of news on it from the media or from anybody on the left.
Well, folks, Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, just got swatted yet again. And where's the news coverage? Where's the outrage? Where's the FBI and law enforcement stepping up and assuring that they're going to open an investigation and find out who did this? Where's all the hibbity hoopla? It's nowhere. It's non-existent. Because no one seems to care. And when I say no one, I don't mean me. I don't mean you guys. But the media and everyone else, even law enforcement, it seems like no one cares about Austin Metcalf's family. Not a single news article out there about Austin's father being swatted for a 4th time. But you guys can go on Google right now. You got cell phones, you got computers, you got iPads, tablets. Go on Google right now. There's like 250 articles out there about the judge being doxxed after lowering Karmelo's bond, right? The FBI came out and said, we're opening an investigation to figure out who doxxed this judge. The Frisco police released a statement, hey, whoever doxxed this judge, we're coming for you, right? You got all of this social media outrage. You got all of this mainstream media outrage because the judge got doxxed. And the reason why you see all of these articles is because the media is desperate to paint out Karmelo and his family to be the victim, and they're desperate to make Austin Metcalf supporters look bad. So they'll totally ignore the fact that Austin's father was doxxed long ago and has now been swatted 4 times. They'll ignore that, but they'll put out hundreds of articles about the judge. The media was even so desperate that a few days ago, they started sharing and circulating a video, claiming that the video was of someone harassing the judge, but it turns out it was a hoax. And the video was old. It had nothing to do with the Karmelo Anthony case at all. The video was like 5 years old, but the media picked up on it really quickly because they're desperate to paint out Karmelo and Carmelo's side of things. They want them to be viewed as the victims. And anyone who supports Austin, oh, they're big, bad, white supremacist, racist. So the media just turns a blind eye as Austin's family is constantly harassed. But the media is there with cameras rolling whenever Karmelo's parents want to come out and cry. Whenever the baby beater that is representing Karmelo, whenever he wants to come out and say something, the media has a dozen cameras there. They have a dozen reporters there. Please cry for us. Show us you're the victim. Oh, Austin's dad was swatted again? Who cares about Austin's dad? Who cares that Austin's mom was swatted? Who cares? Who cares that we have an entire community of people here threatening that they're going to kill Austin's brother and they're calling for him to be arrested? All of this crazy stuff, who cares? But as soon as Karmelo's family wants to come out and play victim and lie about their donation money, oh boy, the cameras are rolling, the microphone checks are ready. And this is why it's so important for people like me to use my platforms to call this stuff out. Some people have been asking, well, why are you only talking about this story? What about other stories? I'm focusing my attention here because the media refuses to focus their attention here. The media should be all over this, but they're not. And we know they're fully capable of being all over these things if they want to, because they're all over the judge being doxxed. When Karmelo's E.T. looking mom wants to go cry and yell on camera, the media is there front and center. But no one has anything to say about Jeff Metcalf being swatted 4 times. And look, if Jeff got swatted 1 time, it would be bad, but maybe we could say, hey, it's just a bunch of idiots trying to get a laugh. It's a bunch of Karmelo supporters just being, dirty, mean people. But it's happened 4 times now, okay? There's a concerted effort here to continuously harass Austin's father. Because as I've laid out to you many times in these videos, they want Austin's father to do something stupid. They want a reaction out of him. Okay? And for Austin's father, it's got to be extremely frustrating that not only are you going through all of this, but the media, the law enforcement, no one cares. They're all just pretending that it's not happening while crying victim when it comes to Karmelo's family or the judge and all that. And like I said, this is why it's so important for me and people like me to use our platforms to call this stuff out. This isn't really helpful for me and my future. There's a lot of people upset about the things that I'm saying here, but I'm going to say them because they're true. And if you appreciate that, consider supporting the channel. Via Cash App or Super Thanks, it would be greatly appreciated because these platforms, social media platforms, they don't like people speaking the truth. Hell, the mainstream media is dodging this truth. A lot of these media outlets don't even want the pushback that I'm getting for what I'm saying in these videos. But yeah, for people out there who are wondering why you keep putting out these videos, because the media has totally ignored these issues. And it's bigger than just the Karmelo case. The media has been ignoring these kind of issues for years now, which is basically, what has caused stuff like this to happen, right? The media ignoring these issues has led up to people like Karmelo stabbing white kids in the chest at school, getting out of jail, and then raising $500,000, selling t-shirts, and being treated as a hero. The media is largely responsible for this. But as far as Jeff goes, I'm really worried. Because they're constantly harassing and provoking him. And at this point, I'm kind of looking at law enforcement and these 3-letter agencies. I'm looking at them with the side eye. I'm looking at them like they're kind of sketchy too. Because they haven't put a stop to this. I haven't seen a real sign that they're trying to put a stop to this. They made a big deal about the judge. They came out and said, hey, we're going to stop this from happening to the judge. But they haven't said the same thing when it comes to Austin's father. So part of me wonders, are y'all taking this as seriously as you are the fake threats against Karmelo? Because when Karmelo's family calls and said, there's hitmen here to get Karmelo, and it turns out to be a bunch of little kids with water guns, the police are taking those calls seriously, but what about with Jeff Metcalf? All I'm saying here is that visually, from the outside looking in at this situation, there seems to be a lot of effort and energy put into protecting Karmelo's family, giving Karmelo's family camera time and air time to air their grievances. There's a lot of effort into finding the people who are doxing the judge. But I don't hear about any effort put forth to protect Austin's family. I haven't heard about any effort put forth to find out who's doing this to Austin's family. And as Karmelo's family is raising all of this money saying, hey, we're unsafe, we got to move, we got to hire security. What about Austin's dad and what about Austin's mom? Are they getting money to move, or are they getting money for security? Do they have activist groups there at their home with them, protecting them and advising them on what to do? And going to the news and telling them what they're going through? No. They don't have any of that. Jeff Metcalf is really in danger. Unlike Karmelo, Jeff is really in danger. He doesn't have security. He doesn't have any help. And every 2 days, the dude's getting swatted. So, something's got to give at some point. Because the reaction to all of this, it's very telling. How we see a certain reaction to fake news and fake threats about Karmelo. We see a certain reaction to the judge being doxxed. And then it's freaking crickets. It's rockets. It's crickets. It's radio silence when it comes to what Austin's family has been put through. And unlike Karmelo's family, there's no help there. The media isn't out here trying to help them with their cause and help them raise money. And law enforcement and the FBI hasn't been that reassuring that they're going to get to the bottom of who's calling in these SWATs. Hell, the fact that this has happened 4 times, I think is kind of shady as well, because law enforcement should know by now that you're receiving these fake prank swatting calls. So why are you continuously putting Austin's father through this, right? They should know better by now. But no, they keep going and swatting his house because, hey, maybe even some of them want Jeff to become agitated. And when I say that, I don't mean that, against any of the officers personally, but there's someone behind the scenes pulling some strings here that wants something bad to happen, and no one can convince me otherwise. So there's no excuse why this has happened 4 times. After the first or second time, law enforcement should know, hey, this is Jeff Metcalf's house. We're receiving these pranks. I understand when they get a call, they still have to take it seriously, but they don't have to come in with their guns drawn, surrounding the house and stuff like they've been doing. But that's what's been happening to Jeff. And unlike Karmelo's family, who can only provide videos of people delivering pizza to their house, I can't show the video here, but there is video online of Jeff's house being swatted. So, not only is it upsetting that Jeff is getting swatted, it's equally or even more upsetting that the media is just la 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 la. Most of the media is just acting like it's not happening. Meanwhile, we get 250 articles about the judge being doxxed. Who cares? Doxing is wrong. Doxing is bad. But they're pretending that the judge is getting more harassment than what she's getting. And my thing is, yeah, everyone's getting a little bit of harassment when it comes to this case. I'm getting harassed as well, right? You guys can see some of the crazy things people are saying in the comments below. Whatever, who cares? It's life. But if we're going to make this big deal, this hibbity hoopla about harassment, how can we make a big deal about the harassment in this case while just totally ignoring the harassment that Austin Metcalf's family is getting? We're not hearing about the threats they're getting. We're not hearing about all of the nasty racist things that people are saying about Austin and Austin's family. There's been no media coverage on that at all. Yet we have to sit here through entire press conferences of Karmelo's family crying and yelling, his mom acting hysterical, acting like an angry, irrational woman, as his father kind of like sits in the corner in his bow tie. We have to sit through all of that, though, all the time. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But luckily, Jeff is handling this pretty well. Better than I would handle it. Better than most of you all would handle it. He seems to be keeping kind of a calm, cool, and collected head right now, which has to be extremely difficult to do. I know a lot of people don't agree with how he's handled this situation. A lot of people don't agree with his response to what happened to his child. But at the end of the day, and I've laid this out before, there's a lot of weight on Jeff's shoulders right now. And Jeff is really all that's standing in between us and a lot of chaos breaking out when it comes to this story. The reason why Jeff is like the main target when it comes to all of this harassment is because they are hoping that eventually they push Jeff to the edge. They're hoping that they push him to the edge and that he acts out violently. When you look at this story and you see the one-sided media coverage, when you see all of the nasty things people are spewing online, understand that what they want more than anything is they want for some white person to grow frustrated and angry about this case. They want a white person to grow so frustrated and angry that they do something irrational. Okay? That's what they want. And no one needs to give that to them. Everyone needs to be calm, cool, and collected, like Jeff Metcalf. Okay? Because Karmelo's family, they have made themselves look absolutely ridiculous. The activist group that is representing them, they are a laughing stock. A group filled with baby beaters and woman beaters, and you name it. This community that has rallied behind Karmelo, they have shown their true colors. They have exposed themselves for the hateful people that they are. And right now, sometimes, it's best to just sit back and allow your enemy to destroy themselves. And that's what's happening here. Understand that anyone who supports murder and celebrated the murder of Austin Metcalf and defended Karmelo, understand that they are their own worst enemy. Understand that they will be eaten alive by their own eventually. There's no need for you to act up. There's no need for you to do anything but sit back and watch. Now, when it comes to speaking out about these issues, yeah, people need to speak out. People need to raise awareness. People need to point at these issues. You need to take these issues and you need to shove them in people's face to the point that no one can deny that these problems exist, right? But no one needs to act out and do anything stupid because that's what they desperately want. They know this story has woken up a lot of people. They know that this story has, this story has been more effective at letting people know, hey, we got a community of people here that absolutely are vile, evil, racist, that celebrate murder, right? This story has woken up a lot of people to that. And they're scared of that. They're afraid of that. They know that even the media is getting exposed with their one-sided reporting and trying to, basically make out the murderers to be victims. They know that this is a bad look all around the board. So what they want to do is they want to change the narrative. They don't want people looking back on the Austin Metcalf story and looking at how horrible it was that Karmelo Anthony did this. They don't want people looking back on this story and just seeing how portions of the black community just celebrated Austin's death and just went crazy and wild and just said all of this hateful, evil stuff. They don't want people looking back and seeing that. What they want people looking back on, they want people to look back at the Austin Metcalf case and say, oh my God, that white person got angry and did this. Oh my God, Austin's dad went crazy and did this. That's what they want. They don't want the conversation surrounding this case to be about anything that's been transpiring since Austin got murdered. They want the conversation to be a conversation about how can we demonize white people and make white people look bad. Which is why they're going to keep provoking and pushing Austin's father. Which is why they're going to keep posting all of this crazy stuff online. They're going to keep making up fake stories. They're going to make up memes. They're going to do whatever they can to anger you. But no one should allow their anger to get the best of them. What I had to learn in life is being a real man it's not always about the, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you know? Being a real man isn't about beating people up and doing all of those things. Being a real man is being in control of your emotions, right? Being a real man isn't, oh, acting out violently and, you know, stuff like that. Being a real man is being in control of your emotions, being in control of your actions, not allowing other people to dictate what you do, not allowing other people to be able to, you know, manipulate your emotions and manipulate you into acting out of character. That's what being a real man is, right? Being a real man is being able to control yourself, which is obviously something Karmelo couldn't do. But with all of that being said, I mean, it's like every day I wake up, I think, okay, maybe I'll go on to cover a different story. And then there's just more and more disgusting, vile, and evil things happening here. And there doesn't seem like there's any real effort to step up and stop this stuff from happening to Austin's family. There's definitely an effort to help out Karmelo's family in any way possible, but not for Austin's family, which is why I decide to get up and I make these videos every day. So if you all appreciate the videos, let me know down in the comments below. You can support the channel via Cash App or Super Thanks, but you could also support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.